We have a live look there in Kenosha outside of the courthouse, where certainly there is a presence building. You can see the microphones in the air. We'll see who's speaking on the ground there. But just yesterday, Jonathan Turley called this trial a parade of horribles. Andy's going to stand by with us. Jonathan Turley, your reaction.
Well, I do think that one of the lessons that we're taking from this case is a certain degree of recklessness in the coverage. Many people watching the trial were surprised that there were these countervailing facts, that Rittenhouse did not shoot Mr. Rosenblum while he was running away in the back. They were surprised to find out that he was working that day to take graffiti off of buildings, or that he was invited to protect that business. And that's a dangerous disconnect for society. That's what causes rage, and it comes from the media. Legal analysis is supposed to give the public the facts of a case so that they're not astonished, they're not enraged when something like this happens. But if you turn the channel on your television sets, it's like there are different trials occurring in Kenosha. The fact is that there was reasonable doubt on every one of these counts. But also, the troubling aspect of this trial was an array of prosecutorial blunders and, in my view, misconduct. You know, the prosecution made reference to his silence despite a long line of Supreme Court cases saying that's unconstitutional. There was evidence that was withheld. There were questions as to how the prosecution had stated the facts. All of that's troubling in this hothouse of public opinion. I think that pressure did invade the courtroom. I think it affected the prosecution. And quite frankly, I think it undermined the prosecution. I think they overcharged this case. I've said that from the beginning. They rushed to bring charges against him. And then when the case started to fall apart, they seemed to become more and more desperate, and they started to cut corners and make errors. At the end, I think the prosecution had no credibility at all with the jury. You know, they promised the jury that they would be seeing this white supremacist on what was a virtual bloodlust. They didn't see that. And that's the type of conflict between opening and closing arguments that a jury doesn't forget.
You know, there was a lot of inaccuracies that were put forward by the media before this trial and during this trial, which we will talk about with Miranda Devine coming up. But Jonathan, the jury, when it received its instructions, was told by the judge that they had the leeway to find Rittenhouse guilty on a lesser charge. It didn't necessarily have to be first degree in at least one of the counts. But he also said to the defense and the prosecution, before the jury was called in for the instructions, that if the jury finds that he was defending himself, then the ball game is over. So clearly, right from the get-go, the jury believed that he was acting in self-defense, so that even the lesser charge wasn't considered. And it's been said by some legal experts that the altercation between himself and Joseph Rosenbaum was what set up the entire cascade of events, all of which the jury believed ended up with Kyle Rittenhouse using deadly force in self-defense.
Yeah, you know, John, I think when we look back at this trial, we're going to see the loss of the sixth count on the unlawfulness of the possession of this dangerous weapon. It's a critical loss for the prosecution, because it took away from the jury the most viable compromise verdict. It left them with this very steep cliff because the prosecution overcharged. And even with those lesser offenses, these were all major charges against Rittenhouse. And it's clear they weren't going to go there. But there's also this aspects of the prosecution were perfectly insane. You know, mocking the damage being done in Kenosha to a jury from Kenosha, maybe one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Building up figures like Rosenbaum, who was not a particularly good guy, probably only magnified that concern for the jury. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of broken china in that courtroom with the emotions of these people. No, I think Andy is correct. Emotionally is what I'm speaking of. No one comes out of this a winner. And this isn't an approval of everything that Rittenhouse did. It is a verdict that is dispassionate based on the evidence. I believe it was the correct verdict. given reasonable doubt on each of these counts.